Okay, going back
Mm.
to the health and whatnot. You're talking about your gut health and being an active person. What I'm a would you rather guy. So
Me too.
okay, good. Would you rather? Okay, would you rather have a super stable gut, like where your gut health's in a good place, but you're more of a sedentary lifestyle, or would you rather have the lifestyle that's active and going and moving and shaking, but your gut health is not in the best position?
Those are interesting questions. To be honest, it's hard for me to relate to the sedentary lifestyle one because of, hmm, I feel like with both, there's incredible potential to change it quickly, right? In
Yeah.
terms of if you have the know-how. So, um, I'd say I'd rather have the gut health piece, have
Okay.
that be poor, right? I'd rather have the an in motion lifestyle because of just how amazingly resilient the body is
Yeah.
and the ability to shift that so quickly. I feel night and day difference in 5 days, prioritizing rest,
Yeah.
get
So you
enough
feel
caffeine drip for a little while,
you like
etc.
being in tune with the body and like being like where you
Yeah.
know where you're at in your body. Like I've never been that kind of person, so it's cool to hear someone else that is. So I'm one of these like I have to be in motion at all times. So I'd rather
Totally.
have a terrible gut than be able to keep moving and going and being on the roll than that. But maybe I need to try to switch that up a little bit. It
Mhm.
sounds like.
Well, I guess my learning curve is trying to do not trying to do both, but being willing to do both.
Yeah, hundred
And
percent.
like be in this motion and know that okay, that's what I want. I'm gonna have enough like
Yeah,
energy to muster to do that. And I don't need to like do the do the stimulant route. I could just enjoy it. I can
yeah,
allow some more liminality in space as I go through things that I still need to push for. My will is
yeah,
strong enough. I can trust it, right?
yeah.
I don't need to be the most extroverted person in the room every time.
That's awesome. Chad and I had buffalo wings with Chad the other night, and I'm still not sleeping right from
Cheers.
that.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, what is wrong with me? I've got to
Well, hey, when in
understand.
Rome, right? I'm that
Yeah,
way too. It's like our CEO loves cigars and like
yeah,
interesting like the cigar bar phenomena when he's in town visiting me or at conferences and like I can enjoy this. I
yeah,
feel like an ashtray because I don't smoke, you know. And the when in Rome conversation is one that sometimes, when in Rome,
Mhm.
that's exactly how it goes, but
yeah.
Well,
otherwise not.
as
That's
you
what.
we were talking earlier, I think as you get older, the win in Rome takes a lot longer to get over.
It
I mean, it's
does. It sure
so.
does.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
that. There's that like I'm going to regret this, not just tomorrow, but for the next week.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going to regret
Totally.
this.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
Anytime my buddies are like talking about going out to a bar, going out doing something, I'm like, because I'm not a normally that kind of person. I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this, and then like 4 days later, I'm like, oh god, why did I do this? Or now I start thinking about like for the next 4 days, I'll be wiped out. What do I got going on my calendar for
Right.
the next four
Yeah.
days before I think
Yeah.
about it? But anyway,
Yeah. Can
no.
I afford to crash these
Yeah,
next 4 days? Yeah.
exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the VIP podcast. We got Ben Morrow here. We're going to get to know him a little bit and talk a little bit about Claim Setter. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and let's dig in, Chad. Are you good with
Yeah,
that?
I'm
Let's
ready to go.
dive right in.
I've got questions already, so
Oh, nice.
We're gonna get in it.
Yeah,
Sweet.
that's awesome. So, Ben Morrow, I am pumped because you and I have become friends lately, and then all of a sudden your name pops up again for, as you call it, the trilogy of podcasts. So you've been on 2 podcasts with me already. Now I get to host you on a third one, and I'm excited about this one in particular because of the partnership and the future relationship that we have, going down the road with Vertafore and Claim Setter. And I think what you guys do is such a unique position in the ecosystem of insurance, because, we always talk about, as far as insurance goes. I know you're new to insurance, but the insurance policy really is worthless until you have a claim. It's just a piece of
Mm.
paper until you have that claim. And then you need somebody, And we interviewed somebody the other day, an agent that was like, yeah, really, you don't need me until you do. And then once you do need me, if I'm not on point, ready to rock and roll, then we're in a bad spot. So you guys kind of help facilitate that spot to make that agent the hero, to make their client a hero for that matter as well. And so I'm excited to hear more about that. So as I've set that up a little bit for you, I'd love you to tell it better than I just did. If you could give I don't know, 30 seconds and maybe give a little elevator pitch of what Claim Setter is. You do a really good job at that.
Sure. Well, hey, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here for the trilogy. And in 3 months, we've certainly gotten to know each other recently. Um, yeah, so for the audience, I'm Ben Morrow, and I was just about to buy a house. And while I was looking at insurance for that house that I was under contract for, the question on my mind is like, how do I make sure I'm covered? It was a unique, quirky house with a separate
Yeah.
property on the land. It was a dance studio slash yoga studio. And I wanted to make sure that the line items added up, that I would actually be covered in certain situations. And I think that's got to be the norm, right?
Yeah,
Especially if you're a
100%.
first-time home buyer like I was, and wanting to protect your asset, your investment for 15 or 30 years, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like. So knowing that you'll be covered for what might be with something that you're putting a lot of energy towards to manifest, to cultivate, to continue to enjoy is a big deal. And what the company I work for, ClaimSetter, does is if that worst case scenario happens, you don't have to go at it alone. So the typical property owner has a claim once every 17 years, if that. That's the national average, right? So that's including places like perhaps a coast of Florida or a coast of Mississippi where they get hurricanes and there's more consistent claims.
Sure.
For most folks, this is a first timer to actually have to go through the experience of citing potential damage, of making sure that all the checks and balances are okay to get it paid out, and then going through a repair. And it's complicated. It can be a major headache. So the company that I work for, ClaimSetter, what we want to do is we want to be a concierge in that situation for this individual who really cares about their property, their asset, their home, right? Their well-being as it's related to that. And they want to make sure things are done right in terms of reparation. They're dealing with a lot of processes that have gravity because if you file a claim and it doesn't get approved, that's a challenge for your coverage, for your rates,
Yeah.
again, for your livelihood. And you want to know what's going on. And you typically don't because folks have one every 17 years, if that. So what we want to do is we want to come in, we want to stabilize the situation. We want to make sure that it actually makes sense for that home or business owner to file a claim. And if it does, we want to accelerate the process while making sure that everything is stabilized. So we're kind of like Switzerland. We want to dot all the I's. We want to make sure that everything's going as fast as possible, but we're actually a neutral party who's representing the process. So we come in and we want to make the home or business owner's life a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm going through this process right now, exactly. And so I have a lot of questions, but the first thing I would
Please.
say is, how do people know that they need you? How are they going to know
Yeah.
that they need to have ClaimSetter on their side?
That is a great question. So they typically don't know because they've never experienced this process before, what they do or don't need. They just know that they need help, right? So there's a lot of different parties involved in the claim, the carrier's adjuster, a contractor, if you need one to actually do that physical repair, etc. And I think it's easy to think you can handle all of that, all the project management, go through it once you've uncovered a little bit more of what's actually needed. Typically, the person who's letting the homeowner or the business owner know that we exist and that we can be helpful is the insurance agent, right? So it's already their trusted advisor. The majority of the situations we receive, I call it situations, not claims, come directly from independent insurance agents. So if somebody called you, Heath, and they said, hey, a tree fell on my house. It hit my carport, also part of my house. What do I do first? Right? Like, what's the order of what to do next? Exactly. You would say, well, hey, we have a designated claims concierge exactly for this type of situation. The first thing they're going to do is get you in touch with a vetted contractor if you need one, or they can work with whoever you trust. right? Give them a call to start the process. We'll give them a little bit more detail. We'll
Yeah.
figure out if they need a contractor, etc. And we'll take the entirety of the process from there. So you're basically handing it off to somebody who has the tools to do a lot more than you would as an insurance agent, right? In terms of our
Well, that's
process, the different things we can get into. Yeah,
no. I
soon.
was going to say that's the thing. Most people, when they have a claim, they don't know what to do, and the agent, when they do call the agent just says, "Call this 800 number,"
Right.
and then they're just forced back to the clay or the carrier, and that's it. And then like a lot of agents, and I'm not talking to my agents listening to this show because they're way better than that, but the average agent, they'll just be like, "Hey, call 800 blah 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 blah," and tell them you have a claim, and that's it. But now, if they had a step where they could say, if Chad's agent would have said, "Hey, call claim setter, talk to Ben or whoever it might be," it'd have been a totally different ball game for him.
Oh, absolutely. I think for me in my situation, I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I didn't even know where to start other than calling my insurance company and say I need to make a claim. And that's where even just that idea, like I thought I had to just make a claim and move forward.
And the next thing you know, you're in a construction site.
Well, the next thing I know, I have a floor ripped up and drywall missing. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of have to like step back and go, what was the process I should have went through? How did I get?
Well,
how
like
did
you
I
said,
get here?
1 in 17 years.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a claim on that house? I'm just
Well,
saying.
and that's the thing. That's the crazy thing. The house is only 4.5 years old.
Right.
And so for it to happen now, this early, is like even more, confusing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think, that's exactly what Ben, like, most people don't know what to do. 17 years, knock on wood, I've
Right.
never had, a claim, and so I'm 45 years old, so knock on wood, but it's pretty wild.
so I guess my next question would be, because I'm going through this, I have a water leak that happened, and I called the insurance company. They gave me the 1-800 number, and they basically, or I actually went through the app,
Yeah.
and it sent me directly to the adjuster. He comes out, he looks at the home. Before that, I had called a plumber because it was a water leak, and I was like, "What's going on? Why is there water in my living room?" And then, the process just kind of kept going, and now I'm in a position where I'm like, I'm making all these phone calls, I'm setting up contractors,
Yep.
I'm doing all this work as the claimant. Like I'm the one that's
Yep.
doing all the legwork. Why am I
Yeah.
paying for insurance if I'm the one working so hard to make it
Exactly.
happen? So what do you think about that?
Take that.
I mean, I think you're speaking to our value proposition, right? So jumping back a little bit because it helps set the precedent for your question. To be outsourced from your agent to the carrier, I think is fundamentally challenging. To have to call a 1-800 number.
Yeah.
I mean, as we all know in business, a 1-800 number tanks your NPS to have that. It's a certain sunk loss that you're willing to take
Yeah.
by having that. So the first thing we can offer, which is something that insurance agents are able to describe to their clients in their time of need, is an individual concierge assigned to them immediately. So even before you've called the carrier, there's actually somebody there as an advocate who you're going to be able to continually call, right? It's going to be that same person who's going to show up for you for the entirety of the process that you're involved in. Okay, so that person has already ideally been assigned to the homeowner from our team before they've even contacted the carrier. What we want to do from that point is actually get one of these estimators out, one of our vetted contractors who's got a workmanship warranty for 5 years. They're licensed, bonded, insured. They're actually in the area where the house is full time. It's not somebody who's a storm chaser who might not be there for that 5-year warranty, right?
Yeah.
So we want to stabilize it that way, get them to provide a free estimate, right? So maybe, after the plumber came, you don't really need to file a claim. It's about $3,000 of damage, and your deductible is $4,500. And it just doesn't make sense for you to continue. Now
Yeah.
you haven't rushed ahead and filed a claim when it didn't make sense. So we're actually mitigating 2/3 of
Right.
the situations we get involved in from becoming a claim. That's part of our business model, is just to support people.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't make sense for them to go down what is a windy and challenging road and big project to manage no matter what, then we're stopping that from happening.
So,
So
yeah, my question really quick would be going back to your question, like when to call or when to know, whatever. Would you say
sure.
that your proposition for the independent agent might be to introduce you before, or as soon as they, get the policy bound to say, hey,
Yeah.
should you ever have a claim, knock on wood, here's the people we work with, claim setter, or we have a concierge service that we work with. And they may, like Chad may have forgotten that 4 years later after he bought the house, but at least he's introduced it, and then maybe like every year at renewal, you put something in there or talk about claim setter a little bit just to say, would you think you go back to then to
Yeah.
introduce you?
Well, that's exactly what we do. So I'll reference Policy Watch. Policy Watch, I think, won Agency of the Year down at Accelerate. They're a
Okay.
Vertafore user, and they're one of our favorite clients.
Yeah.
So Policy Watch, they've got a large sales floor. I've had a couple of calls with their sales team. I just bought auto insurance from them, actually. And I think they have 22 producers or something along the lines of that. What we've done is we've trained them on how to use ClaimSetter at the point of sale for a property
That'd
policy.
be a great
So
sales.
Yeah.
right after they've given you the quote, they say, by the way, if you need it, we've got your back. We've got a free claims concierge who will guide you the whole of the way, right? If you have a property claim, here's what they do. And it's something that is a huge differentiator between you and any other agent, right? Where a lot of folks are rushing the quote, they're going through the process. Not only are you saying, hey, as an independent agent, I went to a bunch of different carriers, here's the best rate. And by the way, if you actually need the promise of insurance, we've got your back too. That would be a huge differentiator for me
I would
as
think so
somebody
too.
who just went through the home purchasing process, right?
Well,
And looking at a lot of different insurance companies.
And there's a lot of hindsight's 2020 here, but in my situation, had I known that I had something like that, I actually just switched insurances earlier this year.
Oh, wow.
So it would have been fresh on my mind that, I've got somebody that I can go to.
There you go. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so that's where it's like, yeah, I may have forgot about it in 5 years from now and if I didn't have a claim, but I was pretty fresh in this. I had just switched insurance agents. I had just switched insurance companies.
Well, if it was something that's brought up every renewal, when you have to renew it every year, if somebody would send something, yeah.
I mean, forgive my interjection, but personally, with the amount of concern I have about everything from floods in this day and age, I don't think that's something I'd forget with my homeowner's policy, is that I'd have a claims concierge if somebody told me that. And maybe I worry too much, right? But to just have that as part of my, like, okay, every time there's a big rainstorm, I'm like, right, that's right. If I do need it, that's there. It might be a little bit more tattooed in the membrane.
Understand, you're also 29 and we're in our 40s. Memory's a little different.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, but you're right though, Chad. I think, but again, I think what you guys do, getting introduced to you over the last 3 months, I think it's incredible that you have that service to offer to someone. And
Sure.
again, going back to vetted contractors, one of the first things that you say. And so that would have helped because a lot of times you're thinking about it, and most people immediately go to Angie's List, or they might go to pick up the phone and call on their buddies like, hey, do you know any contractors? Do you know anybody that's sheetrock? I don't know a sheetrock guy. Do you? And like,
or even like on Facebook when you're part of a community and you're like, this is my neighborhood. Does anybody know?
Yeah.
And
Totally.
that's totally how
and
a lot
either
of people
get like 15 people respond with everybody has their contractor, or you get crickets and nobody knows a contractor that could do that. That's what usually happens in my situation. And so it's like, now who do I call of these 15 people, and who am I going to offend if I don't call the person they referred me to? And then, is this a good contractor? Is it not a good contractor? Do they have insurance? Do they not? And then you're in that awkward stage of like, may I see your insurance license? It's like, can I see your license and registration, sir?
Yeah. Well,
it's
and
this whole thing.
Even that process, like if I had somebody like ClaimSetter in my back pocket, they're the ones already calling the contractors and doing all that for me. I spent so much time just researching who I needed to call.
Yeah.
Much less making the calls.
Well, it's almost like when you get in a sticky situation and you can say, like, you have that confidence on, like, I have a lawyer to have my back. Like, ClaimSetter can almost be like your lawyer. Like, hey carrier, don't mess with me. I got claim setter. They're gonna take care of me.
Yeah, I would almost consider Ben to be my consultant on this situation.
Yeah.
And
You're
there you go.
concierge. I like that, concierge.
So many compliments. I appreciate you guys. Well, I'll give you two real examples of exactly what you're talking about. So we completed a claim, a roof and water repair in Utah a couple months ago. The policyholder, her name is Danielle, and she's one of our testimonials. She actually works in law, in personal injury law, and she is very familiar with the claims process and knew exactly what to expect. So she had initially filed a claim for her roof. There was hail damage. Then it rained, and there was some more water damage. So she had to double down, unfortunately, and file a second added claim for that. We came in at the second piece, or the second point of claim, whatever you want to call it. She'd already brought in a contractor. We were able to work with them, jump into the process, do all the paperwork. And what she said really stood out to her is having a true middleman who's open to communication and diligent and on time. So she didn't have to worry about missed calls, after-hour delays, constant follow-ups with the adjuster, with the mortgage company, etc. She'd been through this. She'd advised people through it, and she didn't have to deal with any of it, right? So we're doing that, and it's our true focus. Right. So we're making it move a lot faster and taking it off their plate from being a project manager for the client with all these different parties. So we operate like a travel concierge, right? Where we're not the decision maker. That's always the homeowner. But we're coming back to somebody like Danielle, and we're making sure that she has all the options, all the logistics, and she's getting a summary from us, right? Kind of like, hey, would you prefer to go to Cabo? Maybe you prefer the Rocky Oregon coast. Here's the best option in Yachats, Oregon, and here's the Mexican version, right? Let us know what you think. We'll book it, signed, sealed, delivered. And by the way, here's your JetBlue tickets, right? So that's the type of service, concierge service, we're able to provide to somebody who does know the process, knows the harrowing process, and doesn't want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I actually want to add, because this one, because you kind of brought up a unique situation with Danielle there.
Sure.
My situation is even further into it, that this might have been a contractor error when they built the home.
Yeah.
Do you guys do any of that process, dealing with
like reading the policies and trying to understanding
that
what's covered, what's not?
And then will that affect my premium if it's something that wasn't my fault and not the, how does that work? I'm just kind of curious.
Absolutely. It's a great question. So jumping back a little bit, you were talking about us kind of like your lawyer. We're really not. We are Switzerland. So we're a neutral party, right? We want to bring in a contractor who's vetted. They're doing all the contracting, right? Ideally, if there's any issue, any disliking of that contractor, we'll get you a different quote before you choose who you want to work with. That's your decision, right? So again, just like the travel concierge piece, you're making the call. We're going to give you the options. We're going to let you know who's what, but it is always a sovereign choice of the home or the business owner. It's the same thing with the adjuster's process. We don't do any adjusting. That's for the adjuster to do. So what we do is we will professionally prepare the contractor's claim. So we will take their quote, we'll translate it to Xactimate so that everything's in full detail. We'll even include any potential supplement, right? We want to start the conversation with the adjuster on step 3 instead of, hey, you're the contractor, here's everything you needed. Hopefully you can approve or decline the claim in one go. Again, we're not taking a side. We're not a public adjuster. We're not an attorney. But what we do want to provide is full detail as fast as possible so that things can move forward with fair equity to everybody.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, if somebody's not doing a job up to your liking, we actually have a bunch of checks and balances to figure that out on a weekly basis. So I think this might be a good opportunity for me to share a little bit more about the process. We've talked a lot about that initial shock factor of what just happened to my house. Who do I call? What do I do? Let's assume for a moment that we're past that point.
Yeah.
Right. We got Heath. Let's say it's you, Heath. We got you in touch with the contractor that you really liked. The You got a 5-year workmanship warranty. They're close. You guys maybe even played pool at a bar while the insurance claim was being adjusted, right? You've just connected. You've found your person as far as doing your repair.
Yeah, I like it.
We have prepared their claim, right? And we've submitted it in full detail. Now we're waiting on an adjustment. The field adjuster is coming out. Well, the first thing we want to do here is actually make sure that when the field adjuster comes out, if possible, that the contractor can be there too. So they can have an open dialogue about anything that needs to be discussed. Again, we want to cut down that multi-week period of communication and all the different confusion. There's like this saying that things get lost in textlation. It was big when I was growing up, right? And I think that can be especially the case when you're dealing with large sums of money, insurance, and legal fallout. So if we can reduce that gap between the contractor and the adjuster, we really want to do that. From there, once there's been an adjustment, what we do is we have a lot of paperwork. It's simple paperwork, but we want to make sure that the homeowner or business owner, the contractor, and us all understand exactly the amount we're working with for the repair. All right, so let's say it's a $45,000 check that's going to be written. Great, we all understand this. Anything besides that, that's your choice again in terms of a custom repair. You're still responsible for your deductible. So we get that first check and balance. And then what we actually do to expedite things is we finance the contractor. So we purchase all of the approved materials in that adjuster report and that exact for the contractor upfront in bulk. Right. So we've had some house fires, an $825,000 house fire in Richmond, Virginia. We buy multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars of materials upfront for them. Again, the already approved materials. So they have what they need to do the job, right? We're being more diligent with their ability to actually swing their hammer. We don't pay them for labor until Chad's given a double thumbs up and it's done up to his liking on a weekly basis. So every week when they're done with their work for that week, they'll send you a couple pictures of what they've done in a short description. Check it out by all means, right? Look at everything that's going on. It's like returning a U-Haul. Again, moving, I just did this, but you have to send a couple pictures of the U-Haul. We do that on a weekly basis. So what we want to really clarify is if there's any disagreement, it hasn't been perpetuated. It hasn't been exaggerated by continuing to move on, right, and work around it. We want to isolate that and solve it because we're doing a lot of big repairs, right? So we're on a weekly basis. We want to come back and make sure we're on the same page. Usually that doesn't take more than 10 minutes, and it's mostly the contractor doing that work of sending you what you need, Chad. But if there's an issue, we want to make sure you're in integrity. We're also making sure they're not getting paid until they've done the job. But from their side, the moment they've done the job, they get paid, which is wonderful for contractors.
Yeah.
Especially with their ability to work these bigger jobs and heavier seasons, with the cat situation, you name it, there's value for everybody here. Integrity helps things move forward, right? So every week you get to check in. If there is an issue, we actually step back, again, neutral, just some Swiss folks here to help the process, and we let you make the decision on how you want to proceed, right? So we've actually had a couple of situations where we have fired the contractor because the policyholder had a disagreement with them midway through, or because of a lack of timeliness or something like that. And we bring in somebody else and we're able to have them complete the job, right? That's been real. We've also come into situations where the contractor has been fired and they wanted to make sure that the situation went well and they brought us in because of that, right? Same thing with other different people who can come in, whether it's public adjuster. We've replaced public adjusters on commercial claims and things like that. We're a free alternative that doesn't fight with anybody. So it also helps things move forward. So anyway, we do that financing component where we actually become the one who pays the contractor the equivalent of what has been approved for your insurance claim directly. We do that from start to finish. The discrepancies we deal with, to be honest, we process hundreds of claims and I'm still marveling at how few discrepancies we've had just by making sure that things are clear in the beginning and that we have these timely check-ins. I think a lot of folks, just by setting that standard of communication and grace and pace, there's just less hiccups, right? So we do those pieces. Once the claim has actually been completed, we get a signed completion from Chad or whoever the homeowner is. saying that it's been done up to their liking. If there's any amount of money left over from the insurance company, it goes directly back to them. And we wait for the final RCV check on the back end. So from the point we typically complete a repair to us getting repaid for financing the claim, it's usually 6 to 8 weeks at least. Where the
Okay.
homeowner, the contractor, they're free to go, and we save them 2 months of being involved in the process.
Dude, that sounds like
So
a dream.
there is
But
constant value. As you said earlier, how does somebody know about this if they haven't been through this process? That's probably our biggest
but
challenge, educating.
let's say they're halfway through a claim, like Chad's situation, and
Right.
they're like, man, I really could have used some help. Where was claim setter when I needed him? Like, no, I needed him. I don't mean it that way, but like, why didn't I know about him 3 months ago or a month ago? Can someone like Chad bring in claim setter halfway through the process, or is it too late at that point?
Absolutely. I would just say the sooner the better in terms of we have more room to add value. We're happy to jump in at a later point as long as there's still a repair to be done in terms
Uh,
of physical progress to be made with the home or the business. We've done that quite a few times. Like I mentioned, some folks have gotten us involved, right? We've partnered with the agency and they've already had some existing claims. That's typically the scenario where this happens. And they bring us in to help streamline an existing process and to add value for their client.
And I didn't mean when I mentioned lawyer earlier, I didn't mean like in the sense of fighting for me. I just meant like to have that
Right.
confidence of knowing if I'm in a bad spot, I'm good. Like I've got someone like
Absolutely.
claim setter and my independent agent to have my back. I didn't mean
Of
for the audience to
course.
think that I was trying to compare you to that. I was just saying like just to have that peace of mind of knowing
Yeah.
not only do I have a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
agent, but also have claim setter to have my back, and I've got a great carrier. But anyhow, Chad,
Well, there's a lot of
Chad's
things
over here
that we like
twitching
to
like
clarify like that.
PTSD moment over
Yeah.
here. Chad's like, oh gosh. So anyhow, you have a
PTSD.
question, Chad. Go ahead.
No, actually,
Or a thought.
I, I think the thought is that, yeah, I kind of wish I had this, but at the same time, like, I don't want to be too far past gone here, but, you know, I've been able to like do a lot of this work on my end, but had I known about somebody like Claim Setter, where I could spend way more time doing the things I need to be doing instead of dealing with this. So,
Oh yeah. Well, I can guarantee
Mm.
you're going to refer them. Next time someone
absolutely.
has a claim, like, have you called claim center yet?
yeah. Or does your
Yeah.
Does your agent have?
agent
Yeah.
use them? So
Yeah.
now that's the next question is like, what if my agent doesn't use Claim Setter?
Yeah. Good call.
Well, if your agent doesn't use ClaimSetter and you found out about us from Heath or just your neighborhood friend, that's perfectly fine too. Our service is always totally free for the clients, for the policyholders. We never charge them a fee. It's not a loan. There's no hook, right? The only person who pays us is the contractor. So we charge the contractor for the financing and for the operational things that we do on their behalf, like preparing the claim. We charge them 10% of their total profit for the job. So that is how we make our money. It's also totally free for the agent. So we know that the contractor is typically paying a salesperson if they're scaled 10% for the job. We charge the exact same fee. And we operate for the contractors that we like and that we trust at this point, kind of as a pipeline of referrals.
That's
Right,
brilliant.
where we're streamlining everything. It's exactly what they're expecting. They're getting a faster process, and nobody else has to pay them.
That
So it's
is
the same thing if you don't hear about us through your agent.
Well,
You don't
that's
that
have
is
to
awesome
pay.
because
that's
then
awesome.
there's no skin off of anybody's back except for when a claim
Yeah.
happens.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
awesome. And you've already tapped into what they're already the norm of 10%. So that's great. I just looked up and realized we're already at time. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I
I
can go a
knew,
little over if you'd like.
I know. I was about to say, and I know Chad would probably love to do that too, just because this is fresh on his brain.
Sure.
And poor Chad, I've picked on him all week about this because I know it's fresh on his brain, and
Yeah.
I've made him have PTSD all week. But that's okay. Now you'll know,
Yeah. Now I know.
and now audience, you'll know, and now you know. I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about you joining into the ecosystem and what we do here at Vertafore. And I'd love just to wrap up a minute with just talking about how that is there an integration piece there? Is there like tell me what that looks like and how Because I was sitting there thinking, you're not a tech company, so how does that work? Could you like walk me through like? We got about 3 or 4 minutes for our next one. If you could just walk me through that a second.
I'll go fast. So, what I'll say, and I'm going to address all the agencies listening directly.
Yeah, please
If
do.
you're interested in using ClaimCenter and you are an AMS 360 user, the path of least resistance to working with us would be turning on Vertafore Client Communications. So Vertafore Client Communications, aka Client Circle, is amazing. They are a best-in-class service that is free for all of you AMS 360 users. All you have to do is reach out to your Vertafore account manager to turn it on. And what they do is they do a wonderful job of making sure that your clients are happy, they improve NPS, and that they're getting as many testimonials and 5-star reviews from that quality customer service as possible. So if you use ClaimCenter, there's a lot of those moments to shine where they're able to capture that. So we built an integration with Vertafore Client Communications. If you turn that on, ClaimCenter is free, and there's a little light switch you could turn on for our integration as well, where we'll come right in and we can reach out. What I will say is, unfortunately, we've got a wait list for agencies. Business has been booming at ClaimCenter, and I'm still open to talking to new folks. But what we would have to wait on is that first implementation call. We just hired our first head of product, Simon Krochmal, about a month ago, who's a brilliant guy who's built a lot of amazing systems. And we've really established our ClaimCenter platform as well. So there will be more and further integrations with Vertafore, agencies alike, coming in the short term. What we're really focused on right now is going deeper with design partners who are building this alongside. Policy Watch, will shout them out again and again. Folks like Paradox Insurance, Dean Jeem.
Oh, we love him.
On the commercial side, who's awesome, who have been really
helpful.
helpful.
Dean's awesome. We love working with
Dean's awesome,
Dean.
yeah. Lots of helpful agencies who we have been building an even better process to serve their clients and to serve them with. So if you're interested in that, if you'd actually be more along the lines of somebody who would want to be a design partner, please reach out to me. We're open to taking more of those. We just ask that we do actually work together in a bit more of an advanced way. So again, Heath, thanks so much for having me. Chad, it's great meeting you.
Dude.
And to all the Vertafore listeners, please don't be strangers. I'd love to connect despite us having that wait list.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And thank you for wrapping that up in that way for me. That was really good.
I think the wait list is going to get a little bit bigger after this.
Yeah, it's probably going to get a little bit bigger, I would imagine.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me the website, tell me your LinkedIn, whatever it might be, so that I can
Sure.
get people connect to you, and then we'll wrap up officially.
Yeah, well, Ben at claimsetter.com. That is not Claim Center. It's ClaimSetter, Setter, like the Irish setter. ClaimSetter wants to be loyal like an Irish setter. That's where our
I was
CEO
wondering
went
where
with
the
it.
setter came in.
I love it.
Yeah, I usually say it's like a volleyball setter. We want to stabilize it. We want it to go high in the sky, right? Like successfully, in terms of setting a ball. You can reach out to me directly at ben@claimsetter.com. Our website is just claimsetter.com, and would love to get in touch with anybody who wants a demo of what we're doing. I've got a lot of beautiful things to present now that Simon, our head of product, is here. We finally have a backbone. That has been the lag with our Orange Partner piece, is not having an API until recently. So there's lots of collaboration and advances to come on the ClaimCetter side.
Awesome. Thank you again. And audience, thank you for being here. Jump on that wait list, and let's show the value of the podcast here too. Engage with us. Like, subscribe, comment, all the things. And go find this guy on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much. And you can also say a few prayers for Chad.
Yeah.
We will see you on the next one.